My husband demanded I quit my dream job to be a stay-at-home mom. I divorced him and moved out. Now he's desperate to reconcile after my startup went public. I 34F met my ex-husband, let's call him Mark, 36M, during our senior year of college. We were both studying computer science and hit it off immediately. We shared the same passions, dreams, and ambitions. After graduation, we both landed jobs at prestigious tech companies in Silicon Valley. Life was good, and we were living our best lives as young professionals in the tech world. We dated for 3 years before getting married. The wedding was beautiful, and I truly thought I had found my soulmate. We both continued to climb the corporate ladder, and our combined income allowed us to live comfortably in a nice apartment in San Francisco. About 2 years into our marriage, I was approached by a small startup that was working on revolutionary AI technology. The founders had read some of my published papers and were impressed by my work. They offered me a position as their lead AI researcher, along with a significant equity stake in the company. The salary was lower than what I was making at my current job, but the potential was enormous. More importantly, the work was exactly what I had always dreamed of doing. It was cutting edge, challenging, and had the potential to change the world. I was over the moon. When I told Mark about the offer, he was initially supportive. We discussed the financial implications and decided that we could manage with the pay cut, especially considering the potential upside of the equity. I accepted the offer and dove headfirst into my new role. A year into my new job, I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't planned, but we were both excited about starting a family. The pregnancy was smooth, and I continued working throughout, even pulling some late nights as we approached important milestones for the company. Our son, Tommy, was born healthy and beautiful. I took 3 months of maternity leave, during which time I worked remotely when I could. The company was incredibly supportive, allowing me to have a flexible schedule and work from home as needed. When Tommy was about 6 months old, things started to change. Mark began making comments about how I was never home and how he was basically a single parent. I tried to explain that I was working hard to balance my career and family life, but he didn't seem to understand. One night, after a particularly stressful day at work, I came home to find Mark waiting for me in the living room. Tommy was already asleep. Mark sat me down and dropped a bombshell. "I think you need to quit your job and be a stay-at-home mom. Tommy needs you, and I need a wife who's actually present in our lives." I was stunned. We argued for hours. I tried to explain how important my work was to me, how we had agreed on this path together, and how I was doing my best to balance everything. But Mark wouldn't budge. He gave me an ultimatum: quit my job or our marriage was over. I spent the next few days in a daze, trying to figure out what to do. I loved Mark and Tommy more than anything, but the thought of giving up my career and my dreams made me physically ill. I realized that if I gave in to Mark's demands, I would grow to resent him and possibly even Tommy. After a week of soul-searching and many tearful nights, I made my decision. I told Mark that I couldn't quit my job, and if that meant our marriage was over, then so be it. He was shocked, clearly not expecting me to choose my career over our family. The next few months were a blur of lawyers, custody arrangements, and dividing assets. We agreed on joint custody of Tommy, with me having him during the week and Mark on weekends. It was hard, but I knew it was the right decision for everyone involved. The divorce was finalized when Tommy was about 18 months old. I moved out of our apartment and into a small studio closer to my office. It was tough juggling single motherhood and my demanding job, but I had an amazing support system of friends and coworkers who helped me through it. Mark, on the other hand, seemed to struggle with the new arrangement. He would often call me late at night, sometimes drunk, alternating between begging me to come back and hurling insults at me for abandoning our family. I stayed firm in my decision and focused on being the best mother I could be while pursuing my career. Over the next 3 years, I poured myself into my work and raising Tommy. The startup grew rapidly, and our technology was making waves in the industry. We expanded from a team of 10 to over 100 employees. I was promoted to Chief Technology Officer and was working on groundbreaking projects that were garnering attention from major tech companies and investors. Then, the news we had all been hoping for finally came: a major tech giant was interested in acquiring our company. The negotiations were intense, but in the end, we agreed to an acquisition deal that valued the company at $2.5 billion. When the news of the acquisition went public, my phone exploded with congratulatory messages from friends, family, and former colleagues. My equity stake in the company was now worth over $50 million. I was overwhelmed, excited, and honestly, a little scared about what this meant for my future. About a week after the news broke, I received a text from Mark asking if we could meet for coffee. Against my better judgment, I agreed. When I arrived at the cafe, I found a very different Mark than the one I had divorced 3 years ago. He was polite, almost deferential. He congratulated me on my success and said he had been following the company's progress. Then, he dropped another bombshell. "I was wrong, I should have supported you in your dreams. I realize now what a mistake I made. I want us to be a family again. I want you back." I sat there, stunned for the second time in our relationship. Part of me wanted to laugh, another part wanted to cry, and yet another part wanted to throw my coffee in his face. Instead, I took a deep breath and replied, "Mark, I appreciate your apology, but it's too little, too late. I'm happy with my life now, and I'm not interested in reconciling. We have a good co-parenting relationship, and I think we should keep it that way." He looked crestfallen but nodded. As I stood up to leave, he asked one last question. "Is it because of the money? Would you have considered getting back together if the startup hadn't been successful?" I turned back to him and said, "No, Mark. It was never about the money. It was about respect, support, and believing in each other's dreams. You couldn't do that for me then, and I don't trust that you can do it now." In the weeks following our coffee meetup, Mark's behavior became erratic. He started showing up unannounced at my apartment, sending me long emails reminiscing about our past, and even tried to manipulate Tommy into asking me to get back together with him. I had to set firm boundaries and even threatened legal action if he didn't stop his harassment. Eventually, he backed off, but our co-parenting relationship has become strained. As for me, I'm still adjusting to my new financial reality. I've set up a trust for Tommy's future and made significant donations to organizations that support women in STEM fields. I'm taking some time off to travel with Tommy and figure out what I want to do next. Looking back, I realize how close I came to giving up on my dreams. If I had given in to Mark's ultimatum, I would have missed out on the most fulfilling years of my career and the financial security I now have for myself and Tommy. I know some people might think I'm cold-hearted for not considering reconciliation, especially now that I'm financially successful. But the truth is, Mark's recent actions have only confirmed that I made the right decision years ago. He still sees me as a possession, something to be controlled and managed, rather than an equal partner with my own dreams and ambitions. To any women out there facing similar situations, don't let anyone, not even your spouse, force you to give up on your dreams. You can be an amazing mother and have a fulfilling career. It's not always easy, but it's possible, and you deserve the chance to try. Edit 1. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thank you all for your supportive comments and messages. I'll try to address some common questions. 1. Yes, I'm paying my fair share of child support based on my new income. Tommy's future is secure regardless of what happens. 2. No, I don't regret my decision to pursue my career. It was hard, but it was the right choice for me and, ultimately, for Tommy too. 3. For those asking about work-life balance, it's a constant struggle, but I make it work. I have a great nanny who helps during the week, and I make sure to have dedicated Tommy time every day where work is off limits. 4. To the people suggesting I should give Mark another chance, I appreciate your perspective, but please understand that there's a lot more to our history than I could fit in this post. Trust, once broken, is very hard to rebuild. 5. For those curious about my startup, I can't give too many details due to NDAs, but we were working on AI-driven predictive analytics for healthcare. The potential applications are huge, which is why the acquisition was so valuable. Edit 2. Since so many people are asking for advice on balancing career and family, I'll share what worked for me. 1. Build a support network. Friends, family, trusted childcare providers, you need a village. 2. Set clear boundaries between work and family time. When you're with your kids, be fully present. 3. Don't be afraid to ask for help or admit when you're struggling. 4. Take care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. 5. Remember that there's no such thing as perfect balance. Some days will lean more towards work, others towards family. That's okay. 6. Choose a partner who supports your dreams and ambitions. This is crucial. Edit 3. To address the comments about me being the bad guy for breaking up the family. 1. A family built on ultimatums and resentment is not a healthy family. 2. I didn't choose my career over my family. I chose not to let someone else dictate my life choices. 3. Tommy has 2 parents who love him very much. We may not be together, but we're still a family. 4. To those saying I'm selfish, is it selfish to want to be a role model for my son? To show him that it's important to stand up for yourself and your dreams? Update, my ex-husband is now suing me for more child support after my startup success. But there's a silver lining. Hey Reddit, it's me again. It's been about 6 months since my last post, and a lot has happened. I thought I'd give you all an update since so many of you were invested in my story. Buckle up, because there's been some drama, but also some unexpected positive developments. Remember how I mentioned in my last post that I was paying my fair share of child support based on my new income? Well, apparently, that wasn't enough for Mark. About 2 months ago, I was served with papers. Mark was suing me for increased child support and a larger share of custody. His argument? My drastically changed financial circumstances meant I should be paying much more, and that my busy work schedule made me an unfit primary caregiver. The irony of him using my career success against me, after initially trying to force me to be a stay-at-home mom, was not lost on me. I was furious, but I tried to keep a level head. I hired a fantastic lawyer who specializes in high-net-worth custody battles. She assured me that while the court might adjust the child support payments, it was unlikely they would change the custody arrangement without good reason. Before going to court, we agreed to try mediation. I was nervous about facing Mark, but I was determined to stand my ground. The mediation session was interesting, to say the least. Mark came in with guns blazing, demanding astronomical child support payments and accusing me of neglecting Tommy for my career. But then, something unexpected happened. As we were discussing Tommy's schedule and needs, Mark broke down. Through tears, he admitted that he was struggling. He'd been passed over for a promotion at work, his new relationship had just ended, and he was feeling lost. Seeing my success had made him realize how much he'd screwed up, not just with our marriage, but with his own life goals. I was stunned. This was the first time since our divorce that I'd seen the vulnerable side of Mark that I fell in love with all those years ago. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't about to run back into his arms. But I did feel a pang of empathy. After a long discussion, we came to an agreement. 1. I would increase the child support payments, but not to the exorbitant amount Mark initially demanded. The new amount would cover all of Tommy's needs and then some, including a college fund. 2. We would maintain the current custody arrangement, but with more flexibility. If I had to travel for work, Mark would get extra time with Tommy, and vice versa. 3. We would enroll Tommy in a top-tier private school that was equidistant from both our homes. This would ensure he got an excellent education and that neither of us had an unfair advantage in the school pickup/drop-off routine. 4. Most importantly, we agreed to attend co-parenting counseling to work on our communication and create a more unified approach to raising Tommy. Mark agreed to drop the lawsuit, and we left the mediation session on surprisingly good terms. Now, here's where things get interesting. During one of our co-parenting counseling sessions, Mark mentioned that he'd always regretted not pursuing his own entrepreneurial dreams. He had an idea for a startup in the renewable energy sector but had never had the courage to leave his stable job. I don't know what came over me, but I found myself offering to look over his business plan. One thing led to another, and long story short, I'm now an angel investor in Mark's startup. Before you all freak out, yes, I ran this by my lawyer and financial advisor. The investment is a small portion of my overall portfolio, and there are clear legal boundaries in place. This is a strictly professional relationship. But here's the thing, Mark's idea is actually really good. He's passionate about it in a way I haven't seen in years. And working together on this project, even in our limited capacities, has helped us rebuild some of the friendship that was the foundation of our relationship. So where does this leave us now? 1. Tommy is thriving. He loves his new school, and he seems happier now that Mark and I are on better terms. We've even managed to have a few family dinners together without any tension. 2. Mark is throwing himself into his new startup. Seeing him rediscover his passion and drive has been rewarding. It's also taken his focus off my success and put it back on his own goals. 3. I've started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but it's nice to put myself out there. And surprisingly, Mark has been supportive. 4. My own career continues to flourish. I'm working on a new AI project that I'm really excited about, and I've been invited to give a TED Talk next year. 5. Most importantly, I feel like I've finally achieved some sense of balance. I'm a mom, an entrepreneur, and my own person. It's not always easy, but it feels right. This whole experience has taught me a few important lessons. 1. Success can bring unexpected challenges. Be prepared for how it might change your relationships. 2. It's possible to transform a contentious co-parenting relationship into a productive one, but it takes work from both sides. 3. Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are dealing with their own pain and insecurities. That doesn't excuse their behavior, but understanding it can help us move forward. 4. It's okay to extend an olive branch, as long as you maintain clear boundaries. 5. Your career success doesn't make you a bad parent. If anything, it can provide opportunities for your child and set a powerful example. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this update to blow up like it did. Thank you all for your support and advice. To address some common questions. 1. No, I'm not getting back together with Mark. We're in a good place as co-parents and casual friends, but too much has happened to consider reconciliation. 2. Yes, I'm being careful with the investment in Mark's company. It's a small, calculated risk that I can afford to take. 3. For those worried about Tommy, he's doing great. We're both committed to putting his needs first, and the counseling has really helped us create a stable, loving environment for him. 4. To those sharing similar stories, thank you. It's comforting to know we're not alone in navigating these complex situations. 5. And to those who've asked, yes, I'm still planning to write a book about my experiences. Your encouragement has been a big motivator. Thanks again, Reddit. Your support throughout this journey has meant more than you know. Here's to new beginnings and unexpected silver linings.